Hi there, guys. I know you have no idea who I am, and that's fine. I just feel it's necessary that I upload this video as an emergency warning. Sound recording and other things might be bad, but we make do with what we have. Granted, the things I'm going to share needs a lot more explanation, but due to circumstances, I did not have enough time, so I will give the most important headings now. I believe my situation could soon end up in a stage that will disable me from getting this out on YouTube ever, so I'm rushing to upload this summary. I will follow up with individual videos from now on, going into major details concerning each element on this wheel, the picture that you're seeing. I am a Christian, but I am sensitive to human beings like and different from me, so I will endeavor to keep my jargon general and easy flowing. This message is for everybody, from the source, and I am not the source. Some images and the music you hear is not my work. I will put in appropriate links where possible. This video is not monetized at all. I am going to share 11 years worth of experiences since reaching out to God, that omnipotent and omnipresent and omniscient individual from which all originates. Quick backstory, I was standing outside one day. Life was horrible. I called out to the skies, to whomever was in charge, and I was answered. I was helped. But this entity asked my help too, so I responded with a yes. Since then, I have gone through many otherworldly episodes, including various dreams and open-eyed instances, warnings of things to come and how things are. This is not a week's worth of guessing and conjuring sensationalism. This video, like I said, is not monetized, and if people guess who I am, then it just could maybe do ill for my personal life. Everything I received was given to me repeatedly or in impossible ways, reinforcing credibility on a personal level. Do not take my word for it. I am not a final authority on anything. I'm not a scientific expert on anything. And yes, not even a doctrinal expert on most of what you're going to hear. I'm just going to do my part and give what I received with only slight opinions here and there, although I might use wording like this will and that will happen. Just bear with it. My very first experience, I will share it someday, made me realize that something is off with this world. Soon later I found myself weeping and praying for 2 hours one day on my knees, seeking an answer. My whole life was changed due to the first experience, and I wanted to know, now what? How do I even reconcile this with science? Because I was aspiring to become an archaeologist in my youth. I got a very vivid vision that the world is or will be a prison one day, and that I will need to break out families from either real or figurative prisons with bombs. I was totally taken back by this one. I was a nerdy, geeky little kid. You maybe don't understand the concept of vision, but one day when you have one, you will understand. No, it's not a dream. More like an entranced instance in this situation created by incessant crying. But I took my vague mission seriously, and I have been living it since 2003. At some point in my life, my nickname became Exodus among friends. Soon later, it was shortened to Exo. Just like some biblical figures got a new name, for instance Paul, when their lives were turned around as new creations, I too hold on to this nickname as something that defines me, as someone that leads people out or away from bad things. No, God's voice didn't call me this strange three-letter name from heaven. People around me did. It's easy to say, I guess. And this lays the foundation of who I am. And now, with the prison world state in mind, I can build on the emergency warnings I need to share. Keep in mind, I do have a degree in theology and experience practicing it for 10 years. I have been specifically working with youth, troubled children, and abused children. I broaden my knowledge daily, trying to understand a bit of all sciences, religions, philosophies, and worldviews, because everything has its own color to add to the big picture, eventually. Also, I can only speculate as to the chronological organization of these events. Maybe I will try later on. They are arranged for understanding at the moment. Some experiences might make me seem biased against certain things or views, like rich spiritual leaders, televangelists and stuff. But I assure you, I'm probably not, and certainly not happy about all the things I receive. But I'm still mindful, because they come from an opinion different than my own, and I'm still learning day by day. Okay, now I've introduced myself to some extent and I've already laid the foundation of the present world, the one that we live in, or we will soon live in. On to the next item on the list. I believe it was 2012 when I had an out-of-body experience. I was in bed and at some point I had a sensation of leaving my body. At this point, it was not the first time, so I just tried not to freak out, and soon it was like I was dropped off in a huge barren wasteland with a mountain range in the distance. The skies seemed apocalyptic. Immediately I got a fright because right next to me was this gaping maw of a titanic subterranean dragon worm thing, a worm. Now I searched and searched on Google Images and this picture was the closest I could get. I saw this beast's body continued on toward the mountain range, and to my surprise the titanic mountains in the distance was part of the monster's body. That's how big it was. I approached it, it seemed dead. It seemed harmless yet daunting, but no longer in active existence. As soon as I got close to its teeth I could make out its faint breaths, and I could see that its mouth was still wet, warm, and alive. I stepped back because I knew what I was seeing. Figuratively, this is the ancient adversary of mankind, believed to be defeated and forgotten. I could sense the satanic malice around this thing, hiding beneath the earth and in the mountains or sometimes in plain sight, but just as a reference or a monument. I will share more detail in later videos. Either a day or days apart, a dream explaining the previous experience. Pay attention to paired dreams. I've spent years studying and experimenting with dreams. I saw an apocalyptic wasteland once more. My family was in this wasteland, enjoying a barbecue. Suddenly, I was in a mall, and I saw people doing mall things, enjoying life, buying things. Then my vision got taken up to the open plains of the wasteland. But the skies were blue and clear, not like the previous experience. Almost boring skies. I saw a mighty battle cruiser spaceship in the skies, patrolling. Instinctively, I knew this was today's church. This ship would either randomly or occasionally focus on some negative threat on Earth and then blast it, as it chose to, and then after, gloating over the victory and publicizing each victory for recognition and the ranking up of individuals that were already drafted into their ranks. I felt that praise and finances were hoarded and not freely shared with the inhabitants of the ground-level wasteland. Now, they helped the Earth, but there was still a focus on self-gain, or self-absorbed living operation in this war they were waging, or just enjoying. In this vision, the entire planet was an apocalyptic wasteland. Is it spiritually what we look like here on Earth? It seemed to everyone that the force in the sky would rule the skies with their unsinkable ship because God is with them. Really? Any of you experienced a church like this before? It is sad, I know, for Christians and non-Christians, but remember, you get good cops and bad cops. As the ship was cruising, I noticed the same mountain range as that out-of-body experience. And in the moment of that thought, with no warning, this impossibly massive titanic worm burst through the crust of the earth. Up, up, and up. In slow motion, it broke the ship in two with its mighty jaws. One big explosion and this world power was felled, with one simple move of brute strength and careful waiting for thousands of years. The scene moved back to the mall setting. The fabric of reality seemed to melt. The world would never be the same. A massive earthquake, people running and screaming. The world as we knew it was melting away, like water would do to a water-based painting. Chaos. This is the main reason for doing this video. The first image you see now is the primary image to take into account, but I will share all of them briefly for a few seconds so that you can pause and read the descriptions. They may be incomplete because they are extremely summarized and need to be read into. Now, in the realm of spirituality, personal life, psychology, and anything out of the ordinary, you know that having a recurring dream is significant. Having a recurring dream with minute details from different angles is even more significant, and having a recurring dream with prophetic elements that come to pass exactly as the dream predicted is even more significant. It's been 9 years, and I must have had 50 dreams all consisting of a massive tsunami event destroying coastal areas along the Atlantic. Africa and the Americas, and maybe even the countries to the north of the Atlantic, and all the islands in the Atlantic will be affected, while some islands will completely disappear beneath the sea. 50 or so dreams from different angles. Some dreams actually included things that simply were not in place at the time and never seemed that it would be, so I didn't even pay any mind to it. But today it is. For instance, the place where I studied was a small and shabby place. In one tsunami dream, I saw this place, but it had thick white walls, electric fencing, luxury upgrades, and shaded parking. This was in 2007. Today, it's exactly like the prediction. Not my prediction, but what I received. I have a long list of things the dreams predicted, with the only outstanding element being the disaster itself. A lot of things actually came to pass, and this is motivating me to share the major element that still hasn't happened yet. I'm not the only one in my country, and I know there are similar prophetic warnings in America as well. You can YouTube Dr. Patricia Green, Tsunami Warning, for a simple example, or Perry Stone, Tsunami Prophecy. You might have to look around a bit, but you'll find other people saying the same thing. We are not affiliated. We might differ, but we share this in common. American dreams tell of a wave basically taller than beach hotels, very tall. In my experiences, it was not as tall, so the epicenter of this might be closer to America, the East Coast, than the southern point of Africa, because what I see every time is not a towering watery behemoth, more the Atlantic surging inward, pushing onto the land, rushing inland for some miles. There will be new coastlines after this event transpires. Most dreams I am on my porch, and I see this bubbling wall of water coming. The height of a 2 to 3-story house, in my experiences. It might be taller when it hits the coast, because my town is a few miles away from the coast. Later at night, the water will keep coming and eventually cover tall buildings in my city or town. The tallest buildings might stick out, but the entire Cape Town city bowl area will be underwater and gone. Several hills in my greater area and Table Mountain will stick out like new individual islands. So, it's not so a tall surge, for me. It might be a bigger crested wave at the coastline, but then the water will continue coming in for the whole day until a very high deluge covers even some of the high buildings. This will have a global impact, but originate from the Atlantic. The only sign I have for this is a meteorological anomaly that might be over Table Mountain or the Cape Town area, a massive abnormal cloud. As you can see in the picture, this is what I saw in the primary dream. Once you see this, you have 15 minutes. People on the coast are dead, regardless of being warned at that moment. The scary thing is that this cloud sign was impossible, or was never seen before, until I actually saw mini ones just weeks ago, and it really frightened me. It will be a much larger, or maybe not happen at all, since this cloud could simply be a symbol for something else, because it changes appearances from dream to dream and is missing from some of the dreams. I saw that this tsunami will be a beginning of troubles, and will also be coupled with a revival or a resurgence of interest in God. The water falling out on the mountain, I believe, signifies a last day's outpouring of spiritual vitality, or spiritual energy, or I don't want to go deep into the jargon, but yes, the symbology of the dreams might mean a few things, but all of them signify a physical destruction and a physical aftermath. To add to opinions I have received through the years, the wave might be a recurring challenge in life that I'm continually failing, or opportunities that I have to join and ride out, like I have to join the wave, or a massive revelation from God that I'm not getting over and over again. I know, and no, the more I deny the literal meaning, the more I dream of it. Like I said, 50 times already. Just like Jonah ran away from what he was supposed to do, the more I run away from it, the more I'm being pressed with more literal explanations. And I really feel obligated to give it to you the same way I receive it. I do not know if this will be an earthquake or a meteor or something happening to the North and South Pole ice. I don't know. Some people here report, like some people also dreaming the same thing in my country, and there are a lot. They also report dreaming of a massive shaking before it starts. I've never in one of my dreams felt or heard an earthquake. I dream of a sign in the sky, giving you 15 minutes to get to high ground, but only for Cape Town. I didn't see anything for the rest of the world. Sign in the sky might mean an on-air media warning of something on all the TV channels. I don't know, but this is all I have in general for the tsunami warning, my most important warning. Now, to move a little faster, the context of this dream was a tsunami dream. Feeling, although none was seen, no waves. Quickly summarized, these massive ice rings were thrown to Earth either from heaven or space. I believe their symbol is figurative. The rings seem to primarily hit mountains, some fell in the sea and some on random land. Mountains seem to come up a lot in my experiences. There was a big focus on the ring that hit the mountain. These rings were colossal and ancient, heavenly weapons. Whenever they hit a mountain, they would send boulders down the mountain that would hit the luxuries of spiritual leaders and anything else in their path. But you could see them coming from a distance and dodge it in time if you were paying attention. Ring comes down on mountain, breaks loose boulder that rolls down and smashes luxury cars or buildings of ministry leaders. I too had to dodge or die. The rings had ancient lettering. The exact lettering in this picture is not significant whatsoever. I just took the Hebrew letters for destruction so that it looks ancient and fancy. The next morning I saw in the book of Job that ice, water, and snow are God's weapon storage for the day of trouble. His stockpiles of frozen or atmospheric water is his ancient arsenal, and we are already seeing it at work the last couple of years due to climate chaos. But it will reach a cataclysmic, otherworldly level, I believe, at the beginning of tribulation. The reason for the rings is not spite. It was, and I quote, "Time has come," and meant for getting human attention. This one was very interesting to me, and I have to use some Christian jargon here. For time's sake, I will not share the context of each dream, although they were both tsunami dreams. When mega waves happen and when nuclear bombs start exploding, alongside it we will have gravity tornadoes. But seriously now, picture a tornado made of wind, dust, debris, and cloud, like normal. Now picture abnormal electricity swirling around in it, and picture its pull being so strong that it's able to rip a mountain apart and into the sky. I believe this symbol is figurative of something way different than the physical. I don't believe it will be literal sci-fi tornadoes. The tornado rips up the side of a large rocky mountain in one dream, a city in another dream. I counseled a child that also had a random dream of a massive tornado taking up his family to heaven. It was a very vivid dream, according to him. As they were taken up to heaven, he remembers eating chocolates with his deceased father in heaven, and there were a lot of people, they were all dressed nice, and they were all comfortable. And as they were looking down, the world was judged. A kid dreaming this. The large rocky mountain I believe to be the church or some other symbol for an institution or group of people. Electricity equals power and gravity equals attraction or natural force, but usually downwards. But in the dream, the pull was upwards. In the Bible, a whirlwind, especially an unnatural whirlwind, denotes a heavenly transportation means and or a portal to heaven or to and fro from the physical to the spiritual world. It also denotes the arrival of a spiritual entity, like the strong wind that created a shaking at Pentecost when the Holy Spirit arrived for the first time. Thanks, Gons, for your research on Face Like the Sun channel. That one video that you did commenting on whirlwinds really helped me out a lot. Also, read up on Elijah taken to heaven and just do a general word search on whirlwinds in the Bible. In one dream, there were distinctly two power tornadoes. I am for pre-trib rapture, mid-trib rapture, and post-trib pre-wrath rapture. I believe they are all important to understand. Rapture is when the Christians will be taken away to heaven to avoid either the last 7 years of earth or the final judgment of God, the worst final judgment. You can read up about it. I believe all the views are correct. Some people fight over them, but in the end, you guys don't know. Only God knows for certain, and I believe there's a reason why it confuses us so that no one can plan their life accordingly. No one can decide how they want to do things when all those happens. But to study post-tribulation rapture is most important, because knowing it by heart would be essential if you find yourself still stuck here when everything hits the fan. Also, there is the possibility of a fake, human-generated rapture. Why? Because in all my power tornado dreams, I was afraid of, avoided, and felt a negative bad energy feeling when I saw the tornadoes. They came to rip apart, rip away, and destroy. Maybe the emotional damage for families, friendships, and couples split due to some rapture, or maybe something more sinister, as you will see later with the Beast and Rider segments of this video. Plain and simple, I had a tsunami dream. But again, in this dream, I saw no tsunami. Instead, two nuclear bombs exploding over a single city. This was not my city. This was a big city that felt very American. It had a desert or a badlands next to it, with a highway. Maybe this signified America in general. I believe this will happen soon after the tsunami or during it, because of the feeling in the dream. I was in Worcester, South Africa when I felt the tsunami was coming due to cloud signs in the sky. I got in the car and raced to my hometown. There was something very important I had to have during these times. As I was racing home, I was next to this huge American-looking city when I saw two nukes explode on it, and two power tornadoes also ripping through the city. Something happened to my car the next day, still in the dream. I had to walk the rest of the way, and then these road bandits started harassing me. This is a very recent dream, and I have not gone deep into deciphering it. This dream alludes to the possibility that the tsunami might mean the unrest of nations that's going to sweep the world, possibly. I don't know. But as you will see, 50 dreams all showing mega waves and coastal destruction from various angles tend to keep me thinking in that direction. Maybe both things happen, bombs and waves. Including the scene change to an American desert city, and those are more inland. Sometimes dreams seem unnecessarily complicated, until the events transpire, and then you see that they were wonderfully summarized for your future convenience. God wants able people not to run from such events, but to be part of it, because there will be many unable people. As a Christian, it's not very easy and actually very annoying after you've built up a solid worldview, only for it to be shattered by the arrival of aliens. Aliens and the Bible do not mix. What Christian believes in visitors from the sky mingling with humans, right? Nephilim? 2005, I saw a UFO cruising very slowly over the rooftops at night. I just finished high school. It was as big as a normal suburban property. My shock was so surreal as I stared at it. It was dead silent. It made no engine sound. It was cloaked. I could actually see the cloaking field. Luckily. Just barely. It was large. A very large triangle with a light on each point. These are called black triangles. I'm not the only one who has seen them. I remember waving and yelling things. Nothing happened. My entire world was ripped into contrasting questions and conclusions. Either someone has this technology that's out of this world, or something else. or maybe both. 2010, I was working in America. 4 a.m., I took an early morning jog on a farm road in Alright. 4 a.m., I took an early morning jog on a farm road in Pennsylvania. When I left my place, a guy was sitting there smoking. On my jog, fog came up, and the air became very tense. This massive, glowing ball of light shot through the clouds right at me. Soundless, faster than anything made by man, it stopped 50 meters away from me. I was at the point of soiling myself when it just shot back up through the clouds and gone. No sound. The clouds moved a little where it shot through. It felt like 5 seconds in total, the whole experience. It was the size of a house, a huge sphere of light. 15 seconds later, it was still standing there. I could only think, what? As I ran back to my place, as quickly as I could, on rubber legs. 2 theories. These things are highly purely demonic, and made a mistake by trying to do something to me as they turned tail and ran. There are accounts where Christians are abducted, but only for a little while. When the beings start to freak out, give up, and dump the poor Christian right where they found him or her. Or something did happen to me and I lost time. When the craft came for me, there was a thick fog on the ground. Not all over in the air and everywhere. A low fog, creeping on the ground in the grass and between the trees. When the craft left, the fog was also gone instantly. So this made me worry as to how long the experience lasted. But when I came back to my place, the guy was still there, smoking. I might have lost time, but it could not have been long because it was still dark and he was still smoking. I can't recall any missed events, and my body has been fine since. Nothing odd for now. Dreams and warnings concerning this segment. I have received warnings where worlds will collide. Our world will change in a collision with another world. Our worlds will figuratively crash into each other, sending a powerful fire across the planet. A white fire. It might signify an abnormal zeal or passion that brings destruction and renewal, because that's what fire does. I will share more about this later. In my alien arrival dream, aliens show up after lightning falls. Straight beams of abnormal lightning shoot to the earth, and then they arrive. Only after the lightning has fallen, the aliens suddenly show up. And also, the planet you see, the greenish planet, colliding with Earth. It's the same color, or the same look, as I believe the planet's name is Kepler 22b, the planet recently found to be like Earth. I don't know if there's any connection, but the morning just after the dream, I actually was on the news. And coincidentally, there was an article about Kepler 22b. And in the article, it stood like Kepler 22b was could be one of the most leading arguments on proving extraterrestrial life. So that's just a hint. As I say, I haven't done much research into it. I'm just sharing things like I received them. Aliens show up after lightning falls. Straight beams of abnormal lightning fall to the earth. Then the aliens arrive. And they are just the best of guys. They are amazing, befriending everyone. But they chase and try to imprison or kill me. Why? In the dream, I'm like asking why. What's going on? I run around hiding because I know something that they do not want others to know. In another dream, they are large alien bugs that coil around and take over businesses, tall buildings, and leaderships, externally to internally. These usurpers also hunted certain people, Christians of course, and others, and put anyone not on their side into degrading jobs, like working full days just to drink water as payment. An alien disclosure is coming, I believe, and it will be pivotal at swaying common opinion, dethroning major religions, or fusing them, and certainly changing life as we know it.
Online, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, I'm sorry, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharge.
I started getting...
In some way, something knocked us off the air, and we're on a backup system now.
It's the government, or
I don't know.
it has to be something, though.
Well, did you hear? Now, you tell me because you were listening.
That was awful strange.
There was a really weird guy on the air when it went off?
Yeah, real weirded out.
Like going sort of sounding paranoid,
Yeah.
schizophrenic?
Like crying and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how far into the conversation was it when it went off?
Just a couple, about 15, 20 seconds, I'd say.
Oh, you
Something like that.
you guys you really missed a call then, and I've got a feeling somebody didn't want you to hear it.
Yeah, because it was really...
Everybody, I am the Area 51 caller. That's my statement, and let you or whatever tear it apart.
You claim you're the Area 51 caller?
I am the man.
How do you account for the fact, Area 51 caller,
Okay.
that part of the way through your spiel, the satellite went down?
I have no idea, and it scared the heebie-jeebies out of me that night. I've called a number of times on your specialty line nights doing different, kind of wacky characters, and that's all that one was supposed to be. And if the call had been completed, it would have been ancient history by now.
Has it occurred to you, as Barbara Marx Hubbard suggested tonight, that perhaps, if you're really what you say you are, you created the reality of the rest of the situation and took down my satellite?
That scares the heebie-jeebies out of me because it means that what I was saying was somehow correct, and it was fabrication kind of...
Creating a reality.
Yeah, if that was the case, I humbly apologize to you because I love your show, and the last thing I would ever want to do is
Knock
tear
me
you
off the air.
So what can I do to prove my claim here?
Well, I guess you could give us a little of what you gave us then so that we could hear it and know it to be you.
Are you sure you want me to do that, Art?
I'm positive.
Don't, Art, please. I don't want you to ask me to do this. If I start doing that guy,
You're right about that. Now, let's just take that little sample that you just gave us so that we don't alter some sort of horrid little reality here at the end of the program, and we'll let the callers be the judge.
Okay.
All right?
is the night that you call in. But that the satellite going down and the feed going down, that really happened.
Yeah, that is. I've been over the years. I've been accused of various people who, like, of course, you make such a claim as this. You're the Area 51 caller, and immediately you get the people who don't believe it. You immediately feed into the air of conspiracy, but there's the people that then did believe that, that my end of it was theater, and then they've been angry, as if, like, I called Art out of the blue to seed this false information, but it was part of the theater of that night, the Area 51 line.
Right.
And when you listen to the calls that preceded mine, the quality of the, quote, performances varies from quasi-believable to that's a guy having fun on the phone. But it's the idea of the satellite going out in the middle of that call that suddenly took it to a completely different level that I didn't set out to. Let me fool Art. Let me fool the ufology community. Let me trick people. It was part of the theater of Art Bell's show, and I was just a call that got in. And for me, the true, while people have said, oh, the moment the call is a fake, then, oh, it's all a fake, and I'm angry at him, and all the stuff that I've gotten. But for me, the true conspiracy reality is, while my call was fake, Art Bell's show was real.
Mm-hmm.
I said something in a fake call that made a real satellite lose Earthlock, whatever that means. And that is what has terrified me for 17 years.
Absolutely. I mean, the odds of that happening at that moment, and you could hear it in Art's voice, whether he was taking the phone call serious at that moment. We don't know what was in Art's mind. But then to have the satellite feed go down.
A religious leader and a political leader will somehow gain the attention and allegiance of many people. They will usher in new things that will be especially hostile toward Christians, singling them out. Why? It felt so unnecessary and spiteful. Literal persons were shown to me, and this is very serious. I knew who they were in the dream, and I know who they are now. I heard their voices, and they proclaimed their philosophies, literally the way they thought and what is going on in their heads. The hint I will give you for who this backwards couple is basically R and B. And if you figure it out, the identity hint, then good for you. I don't want to say it outright and keep it simple, a simple riddle, because labeling is stupid and destructive, no matter how inspired you feel. Though, I want to share it because God, or at the very least, the dream, gave it to me. Straight, with no turns or maybes, in my face. I stand by my revelation because I literally dreamt of the false prophet on a Monday night, and then an even more intense Antichrist dream the next night, on a Tuesday. This is a paired revelation, and it has never happened to me in such a sequence. It's like a to be continued the next night. Usually, you dream random things. It's not every day when you continue your dream from the previous day. If you dream about something different every day of the week, that's normal. When you dream a paired message, both loaded with individual and corresponding details, just one after the other, you listen. You don't skim past something like this. The false religious leader will ordain the rapture. I saw stars falling, him standing on a platform or stage, and then with a loud voice proclaiming, "Now the rapture happens." And then it happened. But I was still on earth, and many good others I know too. Who the heck is being raptured then? None of this made sense. It was like random people were being zapped up. I don't think they were even Christian in any magnitude. What man ordains and says, now something happens, and this is expressly stated in the Bible that no one will know the day or the hour? A fake rapture? A while later, and I can't say for how long, we were eventually raptured to heaven. The Christians, me and my friends and family and other good people I know. The feeling of peace, so tangible. Yes, the reason for the first rapture was still confusing my mind as I was drifting up. But as I was traveling through the sky, I began forgetting about everything on earth. It seemed small. It didn't matter anymore. My life was only now beginning as I was going home. Images of home started forming in my expectations. Green grass, blue skies, all kinds of nice things. I was actually angry when I suddenly woke up, because it felt like I was actually there and then. But back to the point, 2 raptures? This was a very vivid and loaded dream. Connect this dream with the gravity power tornadoes, and how the false prophet will seem to act out false miracles, and that UFO technology has the potential to zap people up, literally. In the Antichrist dream, there he was, someone that actually exists today. Now, the people that I saw as the Antichrist and the false prophet, I believe 95% it is these 2 people. But there may also be archetypes for the actual prophet and Antichrist. I can't say. I'm not the authority to say so. I saw him, and there he was, fully identified to me. He was ranting on about how every religion had a human incarnation, or avatar of God. So why can't he be one? Because he is also doing philanthropical things. Powers through his partner, and they are loved by all. He created a new blood-red crimson religion that is void of people, has philosopher's stones, temples on mountains and hills, and a focus on hunting Christians like a sport that yields special favor or praise, and that the hunting powers the philosopher crystals in the new religion temples. I also got the name of the new religion, but that I still have to keep to myself, and many other details. More on this later, as this dream deserves a lot of attention. I will tell you this: Christians will be safest on rural farmlands. Find someone with a farm, stay there, work there, hide there. Farmers will have leverage because in times of trouble, sustenance is leverage. And stay there, because when the troubles start, we will only have 7 years left until the old earth is unmade. I also hid in a farmer's attic. But he was a complete pig. He made every day a serious trouble, while his daughter was very helpful. Do not put your trust in man. By now, yes, all my dreams strongly convey a post-tribulation rapture, which saddens me. But this is what I'm receiving to work with, so I'll work with it, just like the first Christians had to work with what they had. (2006 to 2015), ever since these warnings started, several hints were in the dreams. When will this all begin? When most of the world is marrying, eating, drinking, and enjoying holiday. I saw people feasting. I saw them marrying. I saw them having the time of their lives, in hotels and on beaches. When does the world do all this? Middle December to middle January. End year school holidays, or Christmas, New Year's time. Holiday season in short. Remember, I have a South African climate with regards to the beaches and stuff. I strongly hold to this because it has been repeated to me for 9 years. Yes, 9 years. I've been waiting for this tsunami. 9 years. Other hints include things that already happened. I was told how certain places would look in 9 years' time, how my family would look in 9 years' time, how my life would look in 9 years' time, and that certain global signs would come in 9 years' time. I was not told 9 years, but for 9 years I have been receiving, and they are all happening accordingly. I was not told to upload or do any of this. I'm doing it out of my own accord, but I was warned that it would make some things harder for me, and it has been hard. Telling people about things like this, it doesn't sit well with everyone. And, you know, this guy laughs, that guy starts ignoring you. It's not easy. But every time I wake up from one of these tsunami dreams, I feel so horrible and disgusted. So I have to share it. For my own sake. I can't keep it inside. But I was also told that if I share this, it'll make it easier for others when the events start. I'm going the extra mile. I'm recording all of this for my own personal guidance, and I believe I received all of this for me, because I am God's friend, and He does not want me to suffer more than I have to out of fear and confusion when reality hits the fan. But sharing is caring, so here you are. If things happened as I warned it would, then I hope to be an apologist, defender, when chaos and compromise dances to the end. My understanding of prophecy, to understand what happens, when it happens, so that you know what to do or not to do when it happens. I have left links to some of the material I used. I strongly recommend Hawkey Davis' channel for a dramatic summary of how the world is changing. I'm not sure really what his stance is on anything, but he does good work. Face Like the Sun or Canary Cry Radio for great research already done, and Endtime Ministries for the best quality post-tribulation teachings if you want more with regards to the iceberg I merely touched. We are not necessarily affiliated, us channels, them with each other and me with them. I just think they are great sources. I have used images and photos from Google Images in a rush because I needed to convey a strong visual impression for what I've seen, and I do not have an aerial camera on a helicopter or the greatest art skills that can carry my perspective over. I hope no one has an issue. If you like a specific image or song, it's out there, so please use the correct procedures to support the creators. All links, music, video, and image material used in this video does not convey the views or opinions of the artists or creators. They are not affiliated with me, nor I with them. If copyright problems arise, I will endeavor to generate slides and videos from scratch, but the general message has to be shared now. So please download the video, and hopefully these are all just rantings that come to nothing.